attempts to fill the void, an unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encountercast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncountercast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast.
I keep thinking it's going to be the last one, but we just keep coming back.
Yeah, well, that final in the name has a way of kind of throwing you off sometimes. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't yet, if this is your first time stumbling across this show, you can find out more and find an entire archive of our show over at FinalEncountercast.com. We've also got a lot of really cool stuff there, including our live blog. If there's anything that we talk about on today's show that you want to know more about, you can find it all over at FinalEncountercast.com. You can call this show live, Final Encountercast on Skype, or 810-207-1764. We invite your calls. We are a call-in show. We'll talk about whatever you want, but
whatever you want.
Whatever you want. But we do have a couple of interesting topics here today on top of all of the gaming news that's going around the world of gaming right now. So we've also got some exciting announcements. Those are going to come towards the end of the show. But if you'd like to call Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764.
And not to squash any of your hopes, but no, it's not that Callie's getting a boob job.
Yeah, no, unfortunately.
Sadly, no.
You don't even want the boobs!
But everyone wants me to have them.
I don't care.
And I
what
like to
everyone
please
wants.
people. Ooh, phrasing.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh. Then why is it we're never happy?
Well, I don't like to please you guys.
Obviously.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Joining me, my name's Nate Bender. Of course, joining me is Robbie. We got Chris, Callie, and Nika joining us here today.
Did you point to Pops when you said Nika?
I just point. I was just pointing.
Nika's behind
I was
him.
just pointing all around the room. Anyway, so we do have Pops hanging out in the background here. Of course, our intern Len, a.k.a. Papa Woody, as well as our producer Kooky Persona hanging on the line. She's going to be screening all of our calls today. So if you want to call Final Encountercast, you're going to have to get past Kooky. And of course, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Kind of excited for today's show because we finally got 2 new webcams for Callie as well as Robbie. So we
are HD'd out.
You can see me in HD now.
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's full true HD.
It's HRD than the fucking dick cams we had last time.
It really is. Yeah, the cams that we were rocking were just awful. They really needed some work. So we were able to replace those, and I think we're looking good here, guys. So
one day there'll be a documentary about the evolution of cameras on this show.
Oh, I know,
From
right?
Silent Hill cam to HD.
From
camera
dead
story.
cam.
Dead cam. That's right.
Dead cam was popular.
Yeah,
man.
The Final Encountercast story.
That's right. Yeah, how we grew from humble beginnings. Anyway, all right. So as we always do each week, why don't we check out what's going on in the news with Callie at the news desk?
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
All right, Team YP, a professional esports team, has sponsored by the adult website YouPorn.
Love those
has been
guys.
barred from competition in the Electronic Sports League.
Oh,
the
what?
ESL has come out saying the rule barring sponsorship from pornographic websites is not new, as explicit pornography is banned in many of the countries they promote to. No other teams in the league have been affected by this rule.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta feel bad because Team YP is a pretty competitive team. They've been placing in the matches that they've been engaged in.
They took like 69th in Worlds last year.
If this rule's been around for a long time.
Say that again, Nika. Sorry.
So if this rule's been around for a long time, then they know they weren't supposed to.
Well, no, hold on, because I can kind of see both sides of it a little bit, right? Obviously, when we think of this, we're like, what the fuck? This is America, right? You're free to do whatever you want, and if YouPorn wants to sponsor somebody, let them fucking sponsor somebody. But you're right when it comes to certain countries, such as Korea, outright banning stuff like that. You can't really just have people, trouncing around.
That's a bad argument, Robbie. Like, you're saying it's America, you can do whatever the hell you want. Well, it really depends on where, what you're focusing on. That's what I'm
saying.
What your company is. It doesn't mean what country. Like, in America, just because we're in America, doesn't mean you can have porn as a sponsor either, depending on what your company is or what your what you're doing. Like, the same reason why, which actually I find out Allison Rapp was her name or whatever from Nintendo. She was actually an escort. And so the reason that, she got fired from Nintendo because of having a job that's a conflict of interest. You can't just say, she's in America, she shouldn't, that's not how this works.
It would be one thing if the ESL...
So they're part of a gaming thing, it's been a rule, and they broke it.
It'd be one thing, too, if the ESL was exclusively American teams, but they are mostly overseas teams.
Right, which is what I'm trying to say. Plus, I don't know that there's, an actual specific... we don't have a fucking rule book for the ESL, do we?
Well, doesn't it say that's been around for a while?
Okay, right. What they mean is from the beginning, they've been against that kind of stuff. Not that it's actually a rule that says you can't have pornography, blah, 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 blah. All right, well, how about the fact that, we have pornography in video games now, right? Like, pornography is an adult thing, and video games are an adult form of entertainment.
But how many times have we talked about cultural censorship? I mean, there are varying versions of games that go to different regions because of certain cultural sensibilities. Yep. And so, you can't just say, freedom her, you know what I mean?
I agree. I agree.
It oversimplifies the problem. The problem, like Nika was saying, is that in a lot of other cultures, pornography is straight up banned. And
I understand that, but they've also stated, I believe, in the story that Team YP was willing to go so far as to change their name, change their image, basically, block out the fact that they're backed by YouPorn just so that they could participate.
But you can only block that out so far because first of all, let's say because esports, just like any other sports league, is looking to gain fans. It's looking to gain followers, and so it's going to go after kids. I mean, I think that's natural. Your age group is going to skew very, much younger than in other sports leagues. So can you imagine someone like a professional athlete and their official team is a porn website? Like, every time you go and you search for that person, like, porn is going to be intrinsically linked. Like, how do you have kids search for Team YP if they've got if they're a fan of one of the people on these team and not have them by extension find the site YouPorn?
Parental control.
Oh, come on.
If they don't find it, then why would YouPorn bother sponsoring them if they can't get any notoriety out of it?
Yeah, that's true.
And the ESL did say that this is an actual rule that you are not allowed. This isn't just something that's frowned upon. It's a rule that you cannot be sponsored by a pornographic website. But if that's the case, how were they ever founded? How did they ever get established?
That's my thing. If it was a specific rule, I feel like this is probably more of like an unspoken company directive.
This seems to me like it probably was a written rule at some point, but they were letting it slide until someone complained.
Well, ESL mostly does League of Legends and StarCraft. So, I mean, Team YP, I think, competes in far more than just League of Legends and StarCraft. I think that they're actually very competitive in first-person shooters and in fighting as well. So, I mean, there are other leagues who do not have this kind of sensitivity built into it, and so that's how you can have Team YP have some success, but also have it be a notable story that they've been banned from the ESL. The ESL is arguably the largest and probably the esports league with the most visibility on it right now too. So this is it is a big deal for Team YP to be banned from the ESL.
Yep.
Who doesn't like boobs is all I'm saying.
Well, boobs are good. In a follow-up to a story we reported on about a pirate vanilla WoW server being shut down, Blizzard has confirmed their reasoning for doing so was they couldn't find a legal path to protect their intellectual properties while allowing a pirated server to continue. They also have confirmed that they have no intention of releasing their own vanilla server. However, they have been in talks with the makers of the Nostalria server about the possibility of doing a pristine server, which would strip away things like heirloom gear, accelerated leveling, and recruit a friend bonuses.
I have no. I honestly don't know what that would mean to the world of
Warcraft. All the things that make leveling and like gearing up super easy would be stripped out.
Well, which doesn't take into consideration that it's still going to be super easy because of the cataclysm that happened.
Yeah, the problem too, like some people are like, well, this is obviously a very lucrative thing. They should just have a vanilla server. But then the article goes on to state, well, where do you draw the line then? Do you also make a Burning Crusade server? Do you always make a Wrath of Lich King server? Do you make a Cataclysm server? Are you making new servers for every expansion that comes out just so people can stop and play at the expansion that they thought was most lucrative for the game? Fuck off.
Well, and the website also reported that they had done some polling, and a lot of people who had done the Nostalria server said they wouldn't pay for the service. So how lucrative would it actually be?
Exactly. Those people aren't playing because they're nostalgic. They're playing because they don't want to pay for the game.
Well, I'm sure there is an element of nostalgia, but it's not enough to get them to pay for it.
Sure.
Naira's in the chat saying Pristine Realms missed the entire point of vanilla server. So yeah, I mean it's interesting that they that they even bothered to respond to it. I think that's the most surprising.
150,000 people were playing it, so I don't know. I think good on them. I think it's a good way to shut it down and stop people from, continuing to bicker about it.
Definitely good not to ignore it.
Yeah, they did. I mean, there was a lot of visibility with that story. So.
A court ruling in 2013 that the Nintendo 3DS infringed on a patent held by Tomita Technologies has been overturned. The ruling originally would have cost Nintendo $30.2 million in damages, but that ruling has officially been overturned, citing the 3DS as having more broad and well-rounded capabilities than those listed in the Tomita patent.
Well,
good for Nintendo.
I guess.
That's been going on for 5 years now. That lawsuit's been going on since 2011. I think it was originally filed.
Wow.
Well, not that it would have mattered. Remember last episode we had someone email in and tell us that Nintendo basically had reserves of what, like $8 billion or something.
Yeah, ridiculous cash reserves. Yeah.
Nintendo, give me free stuff,
please.
Square-Enix has announced that Kingsglaive FF15 will be releasing this summer in Japan. The first showing will be on July 9th, although the NA release date has not been made public yet.
And this also came with a couple of additional minutes of footage, didn't it? Nika, did you check that out?
Yeah, it was only like 30 seconds. It wasn't that long.
Oh, okay. But it did have Sean Bean.
Yeah, it was new footage.
Yeah, it had Sean Bean and...
someone's going to die. Specifically Sean Bean.
Cersei, whatever her name is. I can't... Lena Headley. Lena Headley.
Yeah. What exactly is the... since I don't follow the FF15 stuff because I have no interest in it, the whole Kingsglaive thing.
Is that the movie?
It's that's the movie. Take place alongside the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. From what I understand, it is featuring the King's Royal Guard, which is the Kingsglaive.
Now, is this different from the anime that they released along with it as well?
The anime is backstories of the main characters.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. There's,
this movie is like literally alongside the game, but where other characters are.
Right. So we have an anime, we have a game. Do we have a manga coming out next?
Probably.
I mean, there's definitely
pinball, so
art books.
Did I say?
For sure.
Did I hear you say a pinball machine, Nika?
A mobile pinball. That's what the minigame's going to be.
Yeah.
It's like Lords of Verminion.
Where were you for this episode? Were you not here?
No, I wasn't here for the FF15 episode.
Oh.
Here is $5 just so I can call Nate a cunt for funsies.
Oh, thank you, evil hippie. I appreciate being called a cunt. Thanks for that.
Great.
Yay. It was a joke, you bitch.
So let's see. I mean, Kingsglaive. Kingsglaive?
Yeah,
Kingsglaive. That's it, yeah.
It's very hard to say.
Yeah, it is.
I finally get what you mean about oversaturation of all these different, world-building elements.
It really seems like too much.
It even came out already.
I don't think it sounds like too much.
You don't?
Because you're a fangirl.
Honestly, if a narrative can be told in 300 pages, but they take 700 pages to write it, were they being paid by the word to write FF15? I just, that's the thing that I don't understand fan is like, why does it need that much? If you need that many ancillary pieces of media to tell a complete narrative, I think you have a broken narrative.
Not to mention,
so awesome. That's why they need so much stuff to tell
Chris, shut up. I think the thing that bothers me most about it is that it's broken up over so many different narratives. That's one of the turnoffs that I have to Kingdom Hearts, is that to get the whole story, you have to play a mobile game, you have to play like 3 different DS games, one of which has a card battle system. Get out of here.
Actually, that one wasn't that.
I don't care. Nika, I don't care. That's not the point.
Chains of Memories was good.
This is the exact conversation. Anytime you bring up Kingdom Hearts to a Kingdom Hearts fan, you go, yeah, but there's so many spin-offs.
Recoded was dumb. Don't play that one. The other ones are good.
Dream Ball, Gumball, Drop Distance, guys.
Until
Dream Drop Distance was so good. Oh my god, shut up.
Until I can get 2 Kingdom Hearts fans in the same room to agree on which games are important and which games aren't important, none of this means anything to me.
The only one that's not important is
I don't care. Is there another Kingdom Hearts fan that can back you up?
I think 1 and 2 are important. None of the other stuff matters.
That's not true.
And that's the point. No one agrees on that.
Exactly.
Is important. Definitely.
You're just demonstrating my point, Nika.
Did I just blow your mind?
Valve has announced a deal with Lionsgate Entertainment to bring more than 100 of their movies to Steam. The deal will include access to some of Lionsgate's largest franchises, such as Saw, Crank, and Divergent. While not currently available for download, they are available for a rental streaming, and on all platforms Steam is accessible on.
You know, if anybody... I know there's obviously a lot of different streaming things out there. You know, you got Hulu, Amazon, fucking...
Netflix,
and Netflix is obviously the biggest of them. I think if anybody were to come out and potentially hold a candle to what Netflix has done, it might be Steam. Really? You don't think so?
I mean, Steam is like the Netflix for... I mean, I guess technically GameFly is like the Netflix for games, but I think when you think about like Steam in terms of their reach and like how big they are, I might.
Well, because if you think about it, if anybody else at this point wants to start up a streaming service, they're probably gonna have to start from scratch, right? So what do they have to back them? I mean, Steam already has like a chokehold on games. I mean, okay, yeah, there's GameFly, but come on, honestly, does anybody out there actually use GameFly?
It's still around, so someone is.
Yeah,
but
it still makes
console
money.
Users.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
When it comes to actual streaming, I think that Steam would have more of a chance than a new startup possibly would. Now, the fact that, okay, it's just Lionsgate, yeah, you're right. Not a whole lot there. I mean, Crank is cool, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This seems like an odd pairing to me, especially because you have so many other streaming services that having Lionsgate content on would be so much more beneficial to them.
Well, it depends on how much Steam offered them compared to what Netflix might have been offering them.
I don't know.
Or Amazon Prime.
By the way, thank you to Escape Death, who donated $1, saying if we can't get Collie boobs, can we at least get the intern boobs?
Well, yeah, the doy.
As in Pops?
Pops, do you want boobs?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, it's not your decision, so.
That's probably the point.
And even if we're going to get them from Mrs. Pops,
I'll give $1 toward intern boobs.
I still stand firmly with the idea that if we pay for the boobs, we get access to the boobs. So we can get Mrs. Pops better boobs, but she has to be okay with us touching them as well.
She doesn't need them, actually.
Well, all right, then. There you go.
Okay, well, we still need access to those boobs then.
Yeah.
While precious few details are available, we have gotten our very first screenshots of the FF11 mobile reboot, which is currently being developed on the Unreal 4 engine. The game, branded a massively multiplayer mobile online role-playing game, is currently being developed by Nexon, partnered with Square-Enix.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this on Limit Break Radio, but first of all, I think the screenshots look good for a mobile MMO.
Sure,
that was something that we didn't actually get to on Limit Break Radio. If you'd like to hear more about that conversation, you can obviously go check out episode number 62 at limitbreakradio.com for that. But I actually think that overall, in terms of a mobile game presentation, that this is pretty impressive. I have to wonder how much space it's going to take up on a memory card.
Yeah,
that's going to be
it's not fitting on my phone. That's for sure.
Yeah, and what kind of hardware specs you're going to need to run it. But what they're building is really ambitious, and I've got to give them that.
Following the success of Miitomo, Nintendo has announced that their next 2 mobile apps will be set within the Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing franchises. The Animal Crossing app, according to Nintendo, will be designed such that playing it in conjunction with the system game will be beneficial. Both apps are scheduled to release this fall.
Now the question is, are these two, the Animal Crossing and the Fire Emblem, going to cross over? Because nowadays that's what the market's all about.
I don't think so.
How can you comfortably do that with those two? I don't know.
Ike. Look,
where's the overlap?
All I know is that Ike will cut down trees way better than Raccoon Guy will.
Metal Gear Solid meets Harvest Moon.
And you don't play as Tom Nook, okay? Tom Nook tells you what to do.
You owe him money all the time.
Yeah, no, he is a loan shark, and he will kneecap you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, VG Cats, for that. Making you relevant again.
Interesting that they are going to have, like, we talked a little bit on Limit Break Radio about having 2 separate systems being compatible. Interesting that the app will be beneficial to play if you're using the system game, too.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting move.
All right, we'll see what that means, though, because when Fallout 4 first came out, and it has a companion app, people were like, oh my god, this is going to be so great for playing the game, and the only thing they really used it for was if you downloaded the app and synced it to your friend's game, you could unequip them while they were playing.
That's awesome.
That's pretty funny. You got to admit that's pretty funny. No, I mean, we've started to see some very basic connectivity between games and apps, and I think as long as we're starting to move more in that direction, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, who knows?
The Legend of Zelda for the Wii U has been delayed once again and is now expected to release in 2017 alongside an NX version of the game. Nintendo has announced that Zelda will be the main focus of their E3 panel this year.
This is like the most sad announcement I've heard in my life.
Is it that shocking, though?
Has there been
a Zelda? Because they've already delayed it so much, I thought this time might actually be the time.
They're this close to the NX being out. It's not that surprising.
Don't worry, guys. George R.R. Martin has assured us that Zelda is coming soon.
And it's going to be spectacular.
I have been telling myself that, because I don't really need a Wii U, but I want it for a couple games, and I've been telling myself, as soon as the Wii U Zelda comes out, I will buy a Wii U.
Well, now you don't have to.
At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to pass right over the Wii U.
You don't have to. Yeah, you can just get the NX now.
You know what? That's the right decision. I mean, overall, morally, just don't. Why would you waste your money? Why would you waste your money?
There's enough games on there that I would like.
Really?
Like
really? Name them.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Nika. What games on the Wii U would you want to play?
Have a
Bayonetta 2.
Okay.
That's my one.
That's fair.
That's my one.
That's fair.
And Hyrule Warriors.
No.
No. Come on. Look, hindsight is 20.
I would buy Super Smash also.
Okay,
Smash
is
you can get that on your DS though.
Smash is totally forgivable.
But they don't cross-play, do they? Like DS to Wii?
No, they can't.
Exactly, so no.
All right.
And then I would want Zelda, so that's 4. And then, I don't know, I think there was another one when I was
but you've got like three maybe viable ones. Bayonetta 2, definitely.
I've been telling myself, okay, as soon as the Zelda game comes out, then I'll buy Wii, and I'll buy all these other games too.
Well, it's okay. Now you don't have to. Now you can just skip that and go to the NX.
Next one, then?
Huh?
Are they going to release it for the next gen, or is it going to be like the end of
Wii? Yes, there will be an NX version released
they'll probably do it the same way they did Twilight Princess. That was released on both the Wii U and
the Wii.
The Wii and the GameCube,
right?
I thought.
Or the Wii and
the GameCube.
Was it? Yeah,
that was on 2 though for sure, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Did the Wii U have a Zelda game at all?
That's what I was just going to ask.
The one where you're up in the sky, right? Skyward Sword?
Hyrule Warriors.
I literally have been waiting and waiting for a Wii U Zelda. And there has not been one, so I don't have a Wii U.
Was Skyward Sword Wii?
Yeah, Skyward Sword was Wii, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. Wii U sucks.
It really does.
Warriors.
Stop!
What a terrible system.
Get out.
Warriors I would have bought alongside Zelda, but I'm not going to buy the Wii just for that,
Come on,
you know? So, like,
guys, they're putting Linkle in it, aren't they? Remember Linkle?
Yes.
I refuse to pronounce it Linkle. It's much cuter if you say Linkley.
What?
I guess.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you change it instead of saying Oli, you change it to L-E. You say Lee. It's Linkley.
Oh,
it's a lot cuter that way.
No.
Because Linkle sounds really, really horribly dumb.
That's the stupidest name I've ever heard.
Thank you. That was the most needed drop ever.
Linkle is way worse than Linkley. What are you talking about?
I'm going to draw us a little overlay element, so when Nika says dumb things, you can put like a little dunce cap on her picture on the screen.
I've had other people agree with
Nika, is it pronounced Tingly in Majora's Mask?
That's actually a word that's spelled different, so no.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess it's really surprising to me that there hasn't been a Zelda game on the Wii U.
No,
that
there has. It's called Smash Brothers. There's also been a Final Fantasy game on the Wii U.
Honestly thought you were going to say Hyrule Warriors.
I was kind of ready for that as well.
He's going to come across that table and he's going to murder you on stream.
I'm going to backhand the taste out of your mouth.
Sounds like this might be them finally ready to tap out on the Wii U and just say, you know what, push it back to the NX.
You know what, dude?
Because it'll be a great selling title for it.
It will. You're not wrong. But the thing is that, like, they really must believe in the NX. To get this much push internally to even, take an entire game and rework it for the NX, I don't know if I'm worried by that or encouraged.
Well,
I think it's weird that they are dedicating their E3 presentation this year to this game that they've already delayed before and just announced they're pushing back again.
When we've already been hearing so much about the NX, like you would think that this year would be the year for NX, but no, apparently it's going to be the year for Zelda.
Well, think about it this way.
Think about it this way. Let's say that you don't push it back to the NX. All right, you go ahead and you release it on the Wii U. Best case scenario, right? It reinvigorates the console for, what, half a year?
Right. I'm not saying it's the wrong call to that. I just think it's weird that they're making their E3 presentation about Zelda.
Yeah, well, what else are you going to make it about?
I guess.
The NX. The NX.
You don't think they're going to talk about both?
No.
Well, they've just said that the focal point is going to be Zelda.
They're not talking about the NX. There's no way.
I'm sure they'll mention it, but they said the focal point is going to be the Zelda.
Yeah, if they're saying that the focal point is going to be Zelda and that's going to be the majority of their E3 presentation, then
I bet they can get both of those in there because it's going to be Zelda on the NX. So there's no way you deliver that presentation without showing off it's showing off the NX at the same time.
They're not retooling for the NX, and the NX is just a port of the Wii U one.
Ooh,
then in that case, it's not an NX
that'd be terrible.
You could be right. You could be right. I don't know. Do we even hold out hope that E3 is even still the venue that game companies are going to use to announce new hardware?
Oh, well, no, because look, but when it's all said and done, no matter where it's at or what they're announcing, it's still just Nintendo. So why?
Well, no. What I'm asking is E3 the proper venue to show something like that off? Given that you've got the Nintendo Direct, you've got the the trade shows that Square-Enix just did one for FF15.
You're right.
That was probably it got way more attention than they would have showing that off at E3.
Well, I feel like at this point, obviously E3 used to be like the big thing, right? It's not anymore, but I don't think anything's really replaced it. There's not like just one big place now where that's the place to show stuff off.
Yeah, no, everyone has their own thing now.
Yeah, so I don't really know if there's a better choice or if it's necessarily a worse choice. What do you think?
And that's sort of the thing is, Chris, you're exactly right that everyone's got sort of their own trade show that they can do their own little insular thing inside of, and you've got, you don't need to worry about media outlets. You can kind of create your own media outlet that'll get hundreds of thousands of views on its own.
And everyone's focused on you. They're not going to be talking about whatever cool thing they just got one up.
Right. Sony's Crash Bandicoot is here.
Exactly. They don't have to be worried about Sony dropping some bombshell announcement that completely overshadows you.
Exactly.
The days of that are passing.
Yeah, but the thing is that everybody watches E3, not everybody watches the Nintendo Direct. I feel like you have a big chance of catching someone who's not a Nintendo fan, who's watching E3 but then happens to see the Nintendo announcements, than announcing it at your own event where people aren't watching it
There probably is still more mainstream coverage, you're right, but not like it used to be.
Well, not to mention now it's also about, the waves you're making in social media. I never watch any of these things. I just wait for the news and the headlines to hit social media and pick and choose what I'm interested in.
Right. I'm just wondering if it's a foregone conclusion to assume that we're going to get a console announcement at E3. I don't think that we can assume that anymore.
They haven't actually given us an actual date on the NX.
No.
Now, to be fair, I believe a couple years ago, both Xbox One and PS4 were announced at E3,
all right?
I
believe they were.
It was an E3 launch.
So we get Zelda at E3, then maybe they save one of these other ones like their Nintendo Direct or something for the actual NX announcement.
Could be.
Which would be more beneficial? I think you would want to do that in reverse. You would do, I think, because I do think that E3 is probably the best venue to announce hardware at.
Yeah,
because you can get other people interested that way.
Yes.
Whereas then announcing Zelda at a Nintendo event would make more sense because people are already fans of Nintendo and will want to play Zelda.
And even though you guys had sort of brought it up before, I think that there is that competitive element that you want to harness and use to your advantage. You can be the darling of an entire console generation by winning the floor at E3. When Xbox One and PlayStation 4 were announced, Sony completely rattled the cage of Microsoft by deking left when when Microsoft thought that they were going to go right, especially on the whole registering discs to the console aspect. Like Sony had put out all of the indications that they were also going to use that type of technology, and Microsoft took the bait, said that they were going to do that in their presentation, and then Sony went, no, we're not going to do that.
That was such a fun watch. Sony literally just pulled the rug out from underneath Microsoft. And then they dropped the price point, which is a better price point, too.
Yeah.
And it was a giant middle finger to Microsoft.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's been so long since Nintendo has been able to win the day at E3. They sort of need a public windfall for their company. I think that would be a huge boon for them. And so, I think that it would behoove them to do an NX announcement at E3 and really try to make it the standout presentation of the entire show.
I hate when you use that word.
What?
Behoove.
Behoove.
Yeah, it just sounds weird. And it is a good word, but I always picture like a bee horse with hooves. It's so fucking weird.
A bee horse?
Yes!
No, I picture like a big cow, but you're just chopping off its hooves. Now it's behooved.
You guys are weird.
Yeah.
You're very weird.
I'm sorry.
It's a normal word, guys. Come on.
You're the only one who ever says it.
Kotaku says March of 2017, Nintendo NX.
Hey.
Really?
Who asked you anything?
Well, that's when Zelda
Kotaku
NX
is
is
saying
coming.
March of
I don't know if that
2017
means
for the
that
NX.
Zelda NX is coming in March, right? I don't know if that
Thank you,
necessarily
Len.
means...
Unconcerned source. Confirmed source.
Unconcerned. This source is not concerned at all.
Yes.
Don't worry, guys.
An unconcerned source is telling us.
Yeah, I heard this thing, but whatever.
I'm not too worried about it, man.
On a bit of sadder news, a driver in September of last year caused a major accident while using a Snapchat filter.
Oh my God! Really?
No, this is even worse. This is totally on. I feel like Snapchat's end. Tell us what it does.
It definitely is.
The filter, which shows how fast your phone is moving, clocked the driver at 107 miles per hour at the time of collision.
Why, as an app developer, is that something that you think your app needs?
So that was like the app to it was a game that you could play with your phone, and you would throw your phone in the air and it would time it would use the gyroscope in your phone to time how long the phone was in the air.
How fast you're running,
Or people were doing it like they get on an airplane, or they would be on a bullet train or something, and you could get a trophy for getting over 100 miles per hour. By the way,
and they never thought to themselves, "What if someone's driving and they decide they want to try and use this?"
The driver at the time.
This answers that question.
The driver at the time collided with an Uber driver and left him with permanent brain damage, which he is now suing for.
I can't believe the driver survived.
Yep, he did. This is not the first instance of this happening, as a similar accident has occurred both in Washington and in Brazil in the past few years.
This is the dumbest filter.
And how is Snapchat not taking that filter out after hearing about these things?
I have no idea.
I didn't even know that was a filter. I use Snapchat
because they're idiots.
Decent enough basis, and I've never even seen that filter. Where is it?
I don't know. I've never seen it myself.
Terrible idea.
But
107 miles per hour?
Yep, she was doing 107 at the time of the collision.
Oh, that is awful.
It is terrible, and just you feel so bad for this guy who's an Uber driver of all things,
right?
And he just gets slammed into by some girl using Snapchat.
And of course, she's probably doing one of these, she's doing it, yeah.
Oh God, it's horrifying.
It is horrifying, and it's super irresponsible. How as an app developer you could you could do that. I mean, it just seems like nobody thought this through. Nobody thought this through.
And the fact that you said there's a trophy going over 100 miles an hour, they're straight up encouraging it.
That's ridiculous. That is insane.
Maybe.
No.
The app creator did think this through and is trying to rid the world of really dumb people.
This is his Darwin Award.
Thinning the herd.
Thinning the herd.
If that's the name of the trophy, then maybe.
I don't know, but I think it's disgusting.
That is pretty awful.
All right, so the next Call of Duty game, titled Infinite Warfare, is rumored to include with it a remastered edition of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. This is still just
the last good one.
Yes.
You know what? Go ahead. Finish your headline.
This is still just rumors and speculation sparked by an alleged leaked image of the new game's box art, including the phrase "includes Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered." Further lending credence to this story is the fact that Infinite Warfare is being developed by Infinity Ward, who also developed Modern Warfare.
You know what, guys? Have any of you here felt the satisfaction of leaving a Call of Duty fanboy completely speechless?
No.
All right, let's hear the story.
It is an amazing thing. This kid that I work with, right? Total Xbox One, Halo, Call of Duty fanboy. And I was talking to him about Overwatch, right? And how I think that hopefully it's going to help redefine, the modern FPS. Because it's the first game in a long time that I feel like has done that. And he goes, nuh-uh, what about Modern Warfare? Thinking that they revolutionized it, right? And I'm like, no.
Revolutionized?
Revolutionized, yes. Revolutionized it. And I'm like, what do you mean they were just because they were so mega popular? Think about it. Every single one of their games they've ever released is exactly the same. Medal of Honor was the same thing. Battlefield was the same thing. And what are they doing now? If they were so revolutionary, why are they now going back in time to the medieval ages to fight dragons coming out of portals?
So the next one's going into space too.
Thank you. And he just kind of looks at me for a second, looks down, and then kind of just turned and walked away.
Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 were actually great games.
I'm not saying they weren't.
I logged a ton of time into.
Yeah, I did too.
And I'm kind of excited to see it at 60 frames a second with high-res textures.
A PS4 remake of what Modern Warfare could be awesome.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? That's actually something that I would plug multiplayer time into.
Yeah, I'll buy Infinite War for
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Although there is quite a price hike if you want to get it. You have to get the collector's edition, which is, I think, they had said 109 Canadian. Yeah.
Can I get just Infinite War? Can I get Modern Warfare Remastered?
So,
is that separate?
Exactly. So let me ask you this, Callie. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the fact that you just said, yeah, I'll buy a brand new game to play this old remastered game?
I really liked the remastered game.
Right, but what does that say about the direction they're going with the actual franchise right now?
Well, I haven't liked any of them since Modern Warfare.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm happy to see Infinity Ward back on the project. That's nice to see. That gives me hope for Infinite Warfare to be okay.
It's Infinity Ward in name only. They fired all of the relevant talent from that company.
How
what was it, 6 years ago?
Like any of us, come up with who your favorite company was, and the game that they had. Is that company, quote unquote, even still around anymore?
Rareware.
Square-Enix. Are you kidding
me?
me?
Squaresoft?
Yeah, Squaresoft. Yeah, it actually took me thinking about this, but there's far more Enix in that company than there is Square anymore.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
No, Rareware has been destroyed by Microsoft.
I'm sure Nick agrees with me when we say BioWare. That is no longer any of the BioWare team that did the original Mass Effects. They're all gone.
Did when Ken Levine left the BioShock, did he disband his team or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he took everything with the BioShock series with him.
Dude, that guy, man, I have trouble pinning that guy down, and I like him for that.
Yeah, you kind of respect, sometimes you're like, I want more BioShock, but at the same time, there's a little respect. He's like, I can't figure him out.
He's like, no, you don't get more BioShock, and we're like, but the last one was
BioShock.
Great.
You haven't put out a bad one yet.
Come on.
Even your DLC was really good for it. Too bad, no more.
I bet Chris is sitting over there being like, well, all my Nintendo people are still in the bubble.
That's true.
Because you never leave the bubble.
No, you never. Well, unless you're Allison Rapp.
Yeah, she left the bubble.
Good job on you.
She was forcibly objective from the bubble.
Yes, that was the exact term I was going to use, Callie. That's eerie.
It's one of those days.
Yeah.
Game critic Jim Sterling has put out a video with what he sees as a potential solution to YouTube's content ID system.
Oh my God.
This was outstanding.
Jim Sterling, you are a brilliant man.
So while talking about Nintendo's new Star Fox game, he used video footage of other games entirely, including Grand Theft Auto 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Beyond Two Souls. The idea being that multiple different studios would all have a copyright claim against the video, and thus none would be able to effectively monetize the video. And since he's completely funded by Patreon, he doesn't need to monetize the video.
Exactly. What a smart dude. I love this tactic. And it doesn't work for blanket for like if they want to issue a full-on takedown blocked in all countries of your video.
But it does stop them from making money off of your content.
It does, yes, because you will end up, multiple companies will end up coming to YouTube with their hands out, and YouTube will just go, no, nobody gets it now. And it really does seem like one of the very few things that a content creator can do to try to hit back at the content ID system.
Now let me ask this about the content ID system, right? Let's say that you have like an intro or an outro that does that. Then the majority of your video can still be about talking about whatever game with the footage. Does it have a way of being like, well, this is a majority of footage from Star Fox, so you guys get the rights to
I don't think so. No. And from what it sounds like is he didn't use a whole lot of Star Fox footage.
No,
he kept that very minimal.
Right.
Which is brilliant. I like the idea now that if these companies really want to go after it hard to get the video monetized for them, they'll have to go to court with each other.
I actually saw the video in question. I'm a big fan of Jim Sterling's content. I watch the Jimquisition every single week. It's one of the few pieces of gaming content that I really do engage with, and I find a whole lot of value in. And you know, when I had watched it, I had actually kind of picked up on that you know, while he was making points directly about the Star Fox gameplay, he was showing off footage from the game. But when he started to go off tangentially into you know, how Star Fox is a reflection of where the gaming industry is as a whole, that's when he would start using footage from Metal Gear Solid and GTA.
So it still made sense then. It wasn't just like I'm putting in random stuff here and there to throw people off.
If he hadn't at the end of the video, because he actually at the end of the video stated that's what he was doing, if he hadn't said it out loud, I don't know. I don't know that I'm not saying that no one would have noticed. I don't know that I would have noticed.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Like the video footage made sense in the context of what he was speaking about.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And it's brilliant.
It is. It's super smart, and I think, you know, if companies...
Hats off to you, Mr. Sterling.
Because here's what's really going to fix it. We've had YouTube content creators talking about this and complaining about this issue for a long time. It's been now, what, like 2 years since the Gary's Mod incident, or not Gary's something incident for Total Biscuit.
Gary's Mod is right. That's a thing. Yeah.
Was it Gary's Mod?
I thought it was Gary's
Mod. No, it was Gary's something or other. It was something. It wasn't Gary's Mod. It was Gary's something or other. Anyway, but it's been a while since that happened, and it's just seeming to get worse. It just seems to get worse over time. And, you know, really, I don't think that it's going to, if change is going to come, it's not going to come from the content creators. It's going to come from companies getting screwed out of the money they feel they deserve from content creators, quote unquote, infringing on their property.
And imagine if, because obviously they spend probably tons of money on whether it's, you know, outside shell companies that are doing it out of, you know, the basements of whatever, or whether it's actual automated programs that are doing it. Once they realize that what they're putting into it isn't coming back out of it, they're going to have to change something or other.
Exactly. Nirez is absolutely correct in the chat. It's Day One Incident. It's Day One Gary's Incident. Yeah. That's what it's called. So, yeah. That's and again, that video came out like something like 2 years ago, and you know, Jim Sterling's well-publicized battle with digital homicide has been going on for just about 2 years as well. So, you know, there's got to be something that content creators can do to strike back, and I think that this is a very creative way to do that.
Yep. And finally, after 20 years developing games like Fable and Black and White, Lionshead Studios has officially closed its doors. Fable Legends, a free-to-play online game, has ceased development in the process. The company was originally founded in 1996 by Peter Molyneux and was owned by Microsoft at the time it went under.
That's Fable. That's brutal.
Rest in peace.
Poor Fable. Those games were. I mean, the first one was good. I enjoyed the first one. Everything else was just a misstep of epic proportions. I mean, it's not like 38 Studios who made that. What was it? Kingdoms of Amalur, which is an actually decent RPG that came out on the 360 and the PS3 that just nobody bought. Just absolutely nobody bought it. By the way, I think 38 Studios was the studios run by the baseball player Kurt something or other.
Kurt Suzuki?
No,
I have no idea. Kurt who?
I don't know.
Schilling?
Maybe.
Not a Kurtz.
Maybe Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling. Probably not Kurt Cobain.
It's yes, Kurt Cobain's zombie.
I love that we get your reactions to stupid comments like that on camera now.
So yeah, if you ever wanted professional advice, don't take a job with Peter Molyneux. It doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be very safe.
Frankly, and don't sell your company to Microsoft because they're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
You know, Peter was spearheading Pathfinder Online.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
How do you know that?
Because it was in the forums that I was reading. Yeah, he helped found Goblin Works, and it was such an epic catastrophe that they tried selling it, like Goblin Works and like the whole Pathfinder like program and stuff to other people, and now a mysterious buyer is on the table that nobody knows anything about, and that's all the last we've heard of it. For
what is this
3
game?
months.
What is this game that you're talking about?
Pathfinder.
What is
Online.
Pathfinder Online?
It's a role-playing game,
like D&D.
Yeah,
right.
Pathfinder is basically D&D 3.5 edition,
right?
Okay,
with the numbers sawed off, and so Peter had this idea. No, Peter was spearheading the project, but basically they wanted to have Pathfinder, but as an MMO, and have like all of the tabletop elements intact.
Wow, that is
ambitious.
Impossible.
Yes, and it fucking it
imploded.
Imploded because it was terrible. Because Peter.
It got Molyneux'd.
He refers to himself as
Harbinger?
The Apple guy.
Steve Jobs?
Yeah, he refers to himself as the Steve Jobs of MMOs.
Of failure,
of
you mean?
MMOs?
Of MMOs.
Of MMOs? Are you kidding? Pete,
we love you, but
look, let me explain something to you.
You made our intern walk out, Pete.
Are you wait? Are we sure? Are you 100% sure that you're not talking about Lord British?
No. I may have got that quote wrong. It may have been the Steve Jobs of marketing, but he's definitely referred to himself as the Steve Jobs of something, and he is definitely like the worst person to ever touch anything.
It sounds more to me like he's the Uwe Boll.
Pete, let me explain something to you, okay? To my knowledge, Steve Jobs did not get run out of his own company. He
did actually.
Well, I mean,
that's exactly what happened to Steve Jobs. Maybe there's more parallels here than we think.
Maybe but I think when people draw that parallel, that's not exactly the parallel that they're trying to draw.
Look, I'm sure this guy wore sneakers and a turtleneck.
They're trying. Well, he was trying to say that he's a visionary, and really what he's saying is that he peaked in '93. Which is actually not true of Steve Jobs. 93 was a dark year for Apple. I mean, come on. The iMac? You guys remember that?
Wow,
rough time.
That's so next gen.
Ugh. Awful. By the way, if you'd like to call Final Encountercast, our lines are open. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764 to call in live. We'd love to talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's been one of the stories that we've mentioned today, or whether you'd like to talk about our next topic. Robbie, you were the one who sold us on this topic.
That's right.
Why don't you?
Yeah. Well, see, one of the things,
Robbie.
One of the things which I think we don't get a chance to do a lot on Final Encounter Cast is do what we kind of envisioned this show to be when we first started out, and that was take things that sort of are near and dear to all of our hearts and talk about those in a general sense, because obviously we all have extremely varying opinions, whether you're Nate with your Metal Gear Solid, Nika with her Witcher, me with my old school RPGs, or Chris with his Nintendo bubble. He hates that.
You
by
with
the way.
old school RPGs.
The idea of this Nintendo bubble, he hates that idea so much.
I think if it's Metal Gear Solid is to Nate as Mass Effect is to Robbie, not old school RPGs.
Well, yeah, not old school, but basically what I wanted to talk about today was what makes a great game. What makes a franchise really survive and stand out, not just amongst games of its time, but just in general.
Well, I think that those are two different things, because I think that you can have a franchise that falls.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
a lot. There's very few gaming franchises that have been around for as long as, say, a Metal Gear Solid that hasn't had some kind of misfire somewhere along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Metal Gear Acid was a thing, for example. So.
I mean, because think about it. There are a few names in game that when you say them, they seem like they have a legacy to them. A great example, which actually is what spurred this idea, was Star Fox. But what was the last great Star Fox game?
Star Fox 64.
It's been a long time. So why do we still consider that game to be so epic?
Or that series? I think a lot of people were left asking that after the recent Wii U Star Fox game that was so frustrating in terms of controls, but also just not... it was a very lackluster entry even into the series.
Yeah.
And so people have been left wondering, dude, is there even a place for rail shooters in modern gaming?
Yeah, and it doesn't just, obviously apply to Star Fox. I mean, honestly, I would say that it's been a while since there's been a good Mario game that I've actually enjoyed playing or wanted to play. And people would say, no, Mario's just probably what it's always been because it's selling titles, right? Well, does that necessarily make it a
for
great
starters,
game?
no. For starters, you're not really into the Mario.
Bubble?
No, you're not. You're not even into side scrollers for starters. Can you name a side scroll that you play?
Shovel Knight.
You're so bad at that.
Hold on, are Mario side scrollers now? Mario 64, that was the last Mario game I played, which I love, and that wasn't a side scroller. Is Mario Galaxy a side scroller?
Yeah,
no.
Mario Sunshine.
Mario Sunshine, was that a side scroller? So where's your argument there, dude?
New Super Mario Brothers Wii. That's a side scroller.
3D World was pretty good.
Mario Maker is a side scroller.
Mario game.
We can't use Mario as an example because they have Mario like soccer and tennis and everything.
Which, by the way, are not side scrollers.
I know, so you can't name Mario as a franchise.
You can. You just can't use your argument. Well, when was the last time you did a side scroller? To discredit me. Oh, hey. What? What? You don't have a comeback for that one? Retreat back inside your bubble.
Here's the thing. Your last game that you played of Mario was Mario 64.
No, that was the last one I enjoyed.
What was the last one you played?
I have played Mario Galaxy. I've played Mario Sunshine. I played the one that you and Fairbear used to play co-op before, but none of them interest me.
I mean, first of all, the new Super Mario Brothers, that was intentionally a throwback to the classic style of Super Mario.
They make a couple like that. They have one on the DS. They have two on the Wii U or whatever. Or there's one on the Wii, one on the Wii U. They're made to be like that.
And the only thing, the one you're talking about, the most recent side scroller, right? When I hear anybody talk about that, or I see it referenced in any way in popular media, what's it always doing a play on? You do it to end friendships. You don't actually play the game. You just kill each other.
How about Mario Maker?
Yeah, Mario Maker. I mean,
that's been very popular.
Okay,
but that's design your own Mario levels. I mean, that's I think a different thing.
All right, Mr. Fanboy over here. How often, Mr. Retro Games? This is obviously a throwback to what you've been waiting for, right? This is like Mario Maker is the pinnacle of what probably makes Mario great, in your opinion, right? How often do you play that?
Not very often.
Oh, gee.
But that's just because I don't play games that often anymore.
Oh, interesting. So would you rank that up there high with, franchises that have created a legacy and are surviving based on the fact that they are good quality game products?
Well, what franchise has been around since the late 80s that's still really big?
Well, when you have a surplus of $9 billion...
Okay, but clearly Nintendo's franchise of Mario is declining.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
What makes a game great? Is it just the fact that if it sells a lot, all right, yeah, it's great?
Oh, yeah, because there have been games that are not great that have sold a lot.
So that's what I'm saying. When you buy a Mario game nowadays, why do you buy it? It's because it's a Mario game. Is it really like a great, awesome game? You just buy it because
they're always good.
Because it's another Mario game.
Mario games are always good, though. They never disappoint.
Basically, what I'm trying to sort of preface this idea with is just because something sells great, does that necessarily mean that it's an amazing game?
I mean, look, if you're talking comparative, you look at you look at a similar franchise, or at least a franchise that was trying to be similar, Sonic, and what kind of missteps they've had transitioning into the 3D realm, and the fact that Super Mario World, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy are good games at all, I think is probably proof that Mario is one of those long-term legacy series.
I'll give you that, yeah.
I at least that's that to me makes up for any amount of mishandling of the character or the IP, and I don't think that making an Olympic game with Mario or making a tennis game with Mario or Mario Kart, like I don't consider any of those missteps.
Sure,
they've done very well. They've had games that are lackluster. They've had games that haven't sold as well. But I would say that Mario is probably one that gets put squarely in that category, especially when you put it up against the epic missteps of something like Sega and Sonic.
I love that you brought up Sonic 2 because nowadays those are two characters that you see kind of go hand in hand with each other since Nintendo owns both of them, and they're basically kind of on other sides of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
I mean, the only reason that Sonic is staying relevant nowadays is because he's being
propped up by Nintendo, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't in Smash or any of these Olympic sports games, when was the last time we saw a Sonic game?
Not that long ago. A good one a long time ago.
One worth playing where he doesn't have a human girlfriend and it's super fucking creepy.
I mean, Sonic Generations was okay, but outside of that, it's been rough.
All right, but anyway, all right. So that aside, I actually wanted to go around the room. I wanted to get people's opinions on what they consider to be like epic games, like what's worthy of having a legacy behind your name.
Sure. And while everyone thinks of their selections, why don't we go to the phone lines and talk to Chrono Sage? Chrono Sage, thank you for calling Final Encountercast. Chrono.
Hey guys. What's up?
Hey, there you are. Hey, what's up? Thanks for calling Limit Break, or thanks for calling Final Encountercast. There we go.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
I love the show.
Thanks.
So what did you have to say to us today?
Maybe he just really likes the show.
Maybe there's a delay.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think I just heard
I think
he's calling from a phone, so.
Oh. Buddy, I think your phone's breaking up, dude.
Yeah, I think we're
no good.
Yeah, that's no good. Chrono Sage, thank you for the call. If you can get a solid
better connection,
connection, please give us a call back. If you'd like to give us a call, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. So okay, all right. What makes a game truly great? I'll bite. Where would you start, Colin? Robbie.
Oh, you know what? I have two that I'm thinking of. The first one, which I might be taking this from somebody else, but a few years ago, I would have said Final Fantasy. Obviously, that has a lot of weight behind it, even with newer generations of gamers who have tapped into some of the old ones, like 6, 7, 8, 5. Everyone has like that favorite Final Fantasy, that favorite story,
sure,
that they like, and I think nowadays there's a lot of people who are unhappy with the direction it's going. I mean, obviously, you still have your loyalists, right? I mean, Nika, you're super excited about Final Fantasy 15.
That has nothing to do with loyalty, though. Like, I'm legit excited for the game. I hated 13.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that you hated 13.
Did you?
How did you not?
Hang on. Did you play 13 to completion, though?
No way.
No?
I got like
Okay.
halfway through it and I was like, screw this game. This is stupid. And I quit and I never went back.
I have to be honest. That actually legitimately surprises me.
I hated that game so much.
Well, but the thing is that I know that you're such a fan of Square Enix and Square Enix games that the fact that you couldn't push through that to even finish a Final Fantasy title,
that was horrible. The characters were horrible. The linearity was horrible. Horrible.
I totally agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But I don't know. It's surprising to me because I thought you out of anyone that I knew that you would have been able to push through that. So
someday I want to, but I just have so many other games that are so much higher priority that I push it down every time. I don't know if I'll ever get back to it.
I totally understand that. I think I probably would have burnt out on 12 if I hadn't had a week and a half where I didn't have internet in college and I just burnt through it. You know what I mean? Like it provided. Wow,
it was a good game. 13 was not.
Well, that's true.
Let's not go that far. 12 wasn't that great.
12
was awesome.
12 had redeeming qualities.
12 was an offline MMO.
For me, 12 was just over the top of the hill, and that's where it started its decline. But I think what made the Final Fantasy so great was two things. It was innovation, and it was formulaic. And I know those two things probably seem like they would be contradictory, but when you look at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they all have a lot of things in common when it comes to their story, right? That whole idea of like grand fantasy and, against all odds, this band of adventurers, banding together against impossible odds and coming together to save the world from complete destruction. That's something the Final Fantasies have always had, right?
And crystals.
And crystals, yes. But they're all very innovative, too. I mean, if you take a look at the materia system, and then take a look at the junction system, and then the sphere grid, all of these things are so vastly different that each one kind of felt like a different game. Like if they weren't Final Fantasy, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But yet they held to the things that actually I think that the players have also latched onto.
Yes.
Like even though you're going through either the sphere grid system or the licensing system, that you're unlocking spells called Fira.
Yes.
And are you saying that 13 and 15 don't do that? Because they do, both of them. I don't know as much about 15, but 13 did.
13 does, yes.
Right, yeah, I will get to that, but and actually it kind of started a little bit with 12. Like the licensing system was sort of unique, and I feel like it was in some ways similar to the sphere grid, because the sphere grid you start out uniquely, but by the end, if you did enough of it, everybody was the same. Right? License to me took that, but went in the wrong direction with it, and I felt like people were too much the same too quickly. And going off into 13, I actually didn't mind the combat system, but there was a lot of other things wrong with that game. There was no sense of the world to me because of the linearity of it.
The Crystarium locking all the time was a huge block for me. I hated that.
I didn't mind that too much, but the fact that I felt like there was always this point in Final Fantasy games where you sort of get to a moment where you have free reign of the world, where you can go out and you can explore, you can find those side quests, you can do your own thing and kind of progress things at your own pace.
Right.
There was never that moment in Final Fantasy 13. I mean, when you got to Grand Pulse and you could go around doing the hunts, so one could argue that, but that was the only place for it, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't anywhere to really explore.
And it was just the hunts.
Yeah.
That was the side quest stuff. Hunts.
Yeah.
What was one of the major side quest things in 12? It was hunts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hunts was the biggest thing.
Yeah. So I feel like now the things that they're keeping the same aren't the stuff that drew us into the other games, and they're trying to innovate just for the sake of innovation. I mean, 15 might be a great game. It could be a freaking awesome game. I'm not saying that it doesn't. And I'm going to play it when it comes out, but as a Final Fantasy game,
But I thought you said what you liked the most was innovation.
Right, but he also said that it's innovation balancing with how formulaic it is.
But you don't know that it's not going to be. Just because the battle system is vastly different doesn't mean that the story's going to feel different, doesn't mean that the world's going to feel different, doesn't mean that the character development's going to feel
also
different.
not going to feel like a Final Fantasy because these games haven't felt like a Final Fantasy to me since 10.
Look, I think the big difference there is going to be narrative.
This is true.
And whether or not the narrative packs that what we would consider the Final Fantasy punch.
And again, Nika, I'm not saying this isn't going to be a good game or that I'm not going to enjoy it.
To be fair, I'm trying to put my head in the mind frame of not now looking back on what a Final Fantasy is, but when I think about when the next game comes out, how I feel about it. I mean, you know that when 7 came out, people hated it because it wasn't like 6, and then when 8 came out, people hated it because it wasn't like 7. Then when 9 came out, they hated it because it wasn't like 8. Like, that's a people's mind frame.
Look at Chris's face. What is that? I need you to explain that face, Chris.
It's just when I think about when the game came out, I never thought that the next Final Fantasy felt like a Final Fantasy of what I knew in my mind.
I disagree.
Every Final Fantasy has been vastly different in that sense, and I think that, come Final Fantasy 25, people are going to be saying, "Oh, it's not like 15 was."
But when you
know what I mean? Like, it's going to be doing that forever, and I don't think that's fair to say.
When you look at 7, 8, 9, and 10, despite them all being vastly different games, within 10 seconds of sitting down and watching, you'd be like, "Oh, that's a Final Fantasy game."
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and there are things, there are dead giveaways, which I'd say the magic structure is usually a dead giveaway. The enemies that you're fighting, Marlboros, goblins, stuff like that.
Up until recently, Behemoth. You would have said the ATB gauge.
Yes, well,
not within the last decade.
Yeah, that was, I would say, in the last even generation of games. But you also have, you've also got. The chocobos and moogles and just general things within the world that populate the world that give you clues that, yes, this is a Final Fantasy game. And so, because of that, I think that those, I get what you're saying, that it is innovation, not simply for innovation's sake, because that has its own kind of irritating quality for it. And I think that that's what 13 suffered for a little bit, is that it was just trying to be different for the sake of being different. Final Fantasy 14 1.0 had the same problem. It was being different for the sake of being different to try to set itself apart.
Right, having the 6 roles as opposed to just using jobs.
Exactly.
It was a pain.
Yes, and as long as I think if they're drawing from the history of Final Fantasy, that's probably to the benefit, as opposed to pulling from other games or other influences from other games, because I think 15, when you play it, when you play the demo, it feels a lot like Kingdom Hearts. Mm-hmm. And to me, I mean, that's not a terrible thing. I understand a lot of the same talent that worked on Kingdom Hearts also worked on FF15, and that may, in fact, even be deliberate. But at some point, it stops sort of feeling like a Final Fantasy game.
That I would like to no longer really works on 15.
Some of the things I would like to address to the chat really quick, because they all seem to think like, "Oh, Robbie, you're being unfair. Oh, you're dragging it by the fire." I'm not saying this is a bad game. I'm not saying that at all. Like I said, this could end up being my favorite game of all time, but to me, it doesn't look or feel like what I think a Final Fantasy is.
All right, fair enough. We got to continue around the room and see what else.
Let's ask Chris next.
No, go to Cali.
All right, Cali.
All right,
nobody cares.
So only a couple of the series has only had a couple of games, but for me, if we're talking about a great game, I got to go with Portal. I think Portal revolutionized what?
Kind of young.
Kind of young. It's only had 2 games, but I think it revolutionized and brought back an entire genre of game in the puzzle game. And I thought its great quality was how easily accessible it was. Everyone understood Portal, basically. Like, the meme came out, now you're thinking with portals. As soon as you got that concept, you were able to play Portal start to finish. And everything about that game just kind of worked. The humor, the music, the voice acting, and the concept of the game is really fun, and it expand into Portal 2, where they just continued expanding on that storyline, kept the great voice acting, introduced some new characters that kept it fun. I think Portal's an outstanding game and a great example of what makes a game good.
When did Portal 2 actually get published? When was that released?
About 4 years ago now.
Is there any word that you're aware of on a continuation of Portal?
There are rumors of... Yes.
Well, first of all, this is Valve we're talking about. Right. So I mean, let's not...
Everything with a grain of salt. There have been all kinds of rumors from there being a Portal 3 to Portal 3 and Half-Life 3 eventually commingling. So there's been every rumor in the world. But yes, supposedly there will be a Portal 3.
I mean,
I have to give it to you. Me and Chris recently played through Portal 2.
Lots of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I don't know... No, in fact, I wouldn't have, because I played Portal 1 back in college.
Sure.
Was not drawn into it at all.
Okay.
Like, period. I got the concept of it, obviously, and maybe it was my roommate that ruined it for me that I had at the time, who's like, you want me to help you through this level?
Ugh.
No, I don't.
No, go away.
2 minutes later, you have to do this.
Oh.
Had that controller had a cord on it, I might have strangled it.
Dude, the worst.
Yeah, so literally in front of me, I turned it off and set it down and walked out of the room. Never picked it back up after that.
That's you should go back and do Portal 1.
Maybe. I think I have it. But
it's free, I think.
I mean, I'm definitely going to grant you that yeah, as a puzzle game, it was unique, it was fun. But for me, what made it so much fun was trying to work cooperatively with your partner and with your best intentions. Messing everything up.
The co-op system in Portal 2 was so spectacularly well done.
And then not believing your partner when they said it was an accident.
It's okay, Kyle, or it's okay, Robbie. I forgive you for all those times you killed me.
Just so you know, the best one was when I launched you and the cube at each other, and you hit each other and both fell into the water.
Yes.
That was amazing.
But I mean, how recognizable is GLaDOS in pop culture now?
Absolutely. Well, you're right. Yeah, it is.
Or actually,
or the cake is a lie.
The cake is a lie.
The cake is a lie.
Whenever I see Portal references, like on Facebook, for example, like the best one is where it shows 2 cups, one with something blue, one with something red, and then a fork and a spoon, or a fork one way and then the other way, and everyone's like, oh, this is so awesome. Then you get all these people like, what's going on? I don't get it. Everyone's just reblogging without an explanation, and nobody else gets it.
Nika, how about you? What do you consider a truly great game or great series?
Well, okay. For me, the reason that almost all of my favorite games are RPGs, and that is because the things that I look for when I look for a good game are 2 things. One is the story. It has to be.
Yes.
I mean, I really like epic stories. I really like. I also like love stories, but I don't like when it's the focus of the game. I like when it's kind of like part of it, and there has to be some kind of plot twist that you just don't see coming, and it just kind of blows your mind. And the other thing is character development. And I feel like even if the story is great, if the characters aren't believable or they don't get you to care for the characters, then I don't care for the story either.
I am 100%
so
behind
that's a big
right
reason
now.
why 13 I didn't like it very much. Like I enjoyed the concept to a point of like the Falsy Lisi thing, but then when I was like, okay, but the characters are horrible and this doesn't really make a lot of sense. So
and they don't get any better.
Yeah, and they don't ever improve. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay. So when I have to pick, and everyone's going to see this one coming, I have 2. I mean, Final Fantasy, obviously.
I hope you picked the one that I didn't talk about.
The one that obviously is like my forever favorite is Suikoden.
Yeah, I saw that one coming.
Yeah, that one is absolutely fantastic. I mean, and the thing is like, yeah, Suikoden 1 is a bit outdated, but when you look at the story and like the morals behind the story, it really kind of makes you think about life and friendship and like,
not to mention
loyalty. There's a lot.
When it comes to some of the mechanics of that game too, Nika, we talk a lot on our other podcast about how we need our game to have something that you value and feel like you're building towards. And something I've never found in any other game before was the way that you build your base or your headquarters or your castle in the Suikoden games going forward with every recruit that you have that comes back.
You have such a sense of accomplishment. Like every 30 people you get, your castle grows just a little bit in size and the layout changes.
Depending on the game, it could be even fewer than that. Like in Suikoden 3, almost every single character brings something new to your castle.
And every character does bring something new. Like most characters you can use in your party. In the earlier games, you couldn't use all the characters, but in the later ones, I think you could even take like the innkeeper with you if you wanted. But like they will come in, like if you got the innkeeper, then you'd have an inn in your castle. Then you'd get the blacksmith, then you'd have a weaponsmith in your castle. And it would build, and it would feel like you're continually building something, as well as the fact that you know that these people are joining your cause.
And it's possible they can die in the war scenes as well.
Yes, the characters can actually die in the battle.
That's pretty cool.
Like, not like the main characters in the story, but like every character. And the thing is, if any of your characters die, you don't get the true ending.
Y'all make me want to play Suikoden.
Oh, if you haven't, you should.
I haven't. I want to play this.
It's just there's just so much good about this game that like you just.
But at what
point?
point?
Played it, you're missing out.
At what point did the Suikoden series fall off? Because it did fall off at some point.
Well, that's because they quit making them.
But why did they quit?
Suikoden 4 was not very good, and that's because
I think
it
it was
did boat
4
travel. It did.
The boat was annoying.
The boat travel was annoying, and there was apparently like I didn't really get through it because I was like I want to, but I haven't. But there's also like too many random battles to a point where it's exhausting.
Yeah. And so instead of a castle, you had a boat.
The story of 4 is still very good.
I have 1, 2, and 3. I haven't played.
All worth playing. 5 is also fantastic. fantastic.
I never.
5
got
is
to
one
do
of my
5.
favorites.
Oh,
4,
really?
You can skip.
I never got to play 5, and it's okay because in the timeline 4 is way in the past.
But that's so weird though that 4 was kind of the low point for the series. They got a 5th, and then they've just never been back.
This is what happened is that 4 didn't sell very well. So they made a 5, and because everyone's like, oh, well, 4 is crap, I'm not going to buy 5, they didn't make as much money on 5 as they should have.
Oh, they kind of kneecapped themselves for 5.
Yep. So 5 didn't sell well. And it was also, 4 was the first one on PS2.
Yeah.
Or, no, 3 was on PS2. Never mind. 1 and 2 were PS1. 3, 4, and 5 were PS2. I don't know what it was. There was something, like, they didn't buy 4, and because of that, 5 didn't sell well. And
you can buy 3 on your PlayStation 3, like, because
so cool.
Yeah, because I bought it.
PlayStation.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of fighting with Konami and the Suikoden team to like get these games.
That's right, they're Konami. Yeah. To compound on Anika's idea of characters and story and narrative is the game can't be afraid to punish you for that. You know, obviously you come to love these characters, you come to identify with them. The game can't be afraid to build that connection with you and your characters, then rip them away. It's the same reason why Mass Effect is so powerful in its narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
You
want to talk about Mordin Solace, Nika? No, I didn't think so.
Mass Effect did it very well in that aspect. In terms of characters, Mass Effect is one of the best games for that.
And guess what? The game went on without them.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, it was.
But Nika didn't.
People could die no matter what you did, and then like, oh gosh, it's very emotional.
And the best part about it is there's no reloading either.
Yeah, fair enough.
And speaking of that, like that's another reason why I love the Witcher series.
Okay.
Because I mean, the first one, the battle system was wonky, but the story from the beginning has been very dramatic and epic. And while you can like have sex with hookers if you want to, or you can like romance the love interest and that kind of thing. Like, it's very side to the actual story, and the rest of the story is very epic and dramatic. And especially in The Witcher 3, every single quest and every storyline, you have to make these big decisions like, do I set this ghost go or do I kill it? And no matter what, something bad happens regardless of your choice, and it just makes you feel like, what the heck? Like, how am I supposed to, like, kill this thing which ends up killing this entire city, or save this thing which ends up killing children? Like, there's no good decisions in it, and it just pulls on your heart so strongly that,
So is it kind of like what happens when you're forced to kill your entire Special Forces battalion because they're infected by a parasite? What were their names, Nika?
I've still never been as affected by any video game scene as that scene in Metal Gear 5.
What were their names, Nika? We know that you saw their names when you put the reticle over them.
Crap like that.
So I think my answer, and this may be surprising given that I have a very complicated relationship with this game history, this game series, very complicated history with it. I'm going to say Dark Souls.
Oh my God!
Really?
I am.
I am.
Oh my God! Get out of here.
No. And here's why. Okay, because first of all, I'm in the middle of the emotional process of being able to accept the fact that I like Dark Souls. Okay, like
when did you originally play the first one? Because I feel like this is still such a young relationship with the game.
It is. But the thing is that I realize that game does things that I have been asking from games for a long time.
and that's the reason you have to like it even though you hate it?
No, it's actually, when I started playing Dark Souls 3, I felt like I had to play it because Kooky bought it for me. She bought it for me on stream one night, and I was like, okay, great. Now I can't avoid playing it. Like, I have Dark Souls 1. I bought it out of the bin for like $5.99. It wasn't a big deal when I was just like, okay, I'm done. But this actually kind of encouraged me to push past my own limitations and to really give it a shot. And now that I'm like 60 hours into Dark Souls 3. I've plugged a good chunk of time into that game. and I really enjoy it. And the things that I enjoy about it are the fact that it doesn't have a clear-cut narrative. It's very, very open to interpretation. I like that. I like David Lynch films.
That's my problem with Dark Souls. Like, I can look at Dark Souls and I can see it's a good game. I see the difficulty. I see the strategy behind it. I see the gameplay and that it's good. But my problem with it is the narrative, is that it's all in context. You have to click on random secret things around to like figure out and piece together the narrative. And for me, to me, I need that powerful narrative. So I just can't really get into it at all.
I don't think I think I'm the other way, where I would rather take context clues from around the world that the game is providing me and use that as my basis to figure out my own interpretation of the narrative. The fact is, like, the creators of Dark Souls from Software had a contest to go, hey, see if you can explain the storyline, and if you do, we're going to give you stuff. And to me, that says, look, we have left this so open to interpretation, and not just open to interpretation, but there is stuff that you can miss permanently in your playthrough.
Yes.
If you're not aware of it, I mean, there's very specific things that you've got to, very specific items you've got to give other NPCs to be able to trigger certain things. There's tons of secrets. There's tons of secrets everywhere, and none of it is explained. Some of it is hinted at in flavor text, maybe. That, to me, is what I have been wanting from a game since I have developed, like adult tastes in gaming. And so, like, to me, I'm frustrated with the fact that I have a complicated relationship with the series. I'd want to love the series more than I do, and it drives me crazy, frankly, when I run up against a brick wall in that game and I'm like, fuck, I can't progress, and this is really frustrating. But the sense of accomplishment and reward when you get to the other side of it cannot be paralleled. I am sorry, I've never felt the sense of accomplishment out of FF14 at any point that I have after I beat the Abyss Watchers. I mean, it was just... What about a blowjob? It was a great moment. It was a great moment. And that's the things... Those are the things that I want out of games, and I want to be able to decide that for myself and pull it out for myself and define the meaning myself. It is a game that takes the kids' gloves off at every single level, and I really appreciate it for that.
I think it creates a great sense of immersion, too, by going that opposite route where you don't have a clear-cut idea of what the narrative is. If you were dropped in this world and this was you might not know what's going on. There's not going to be someone who's going to show up to give you like 20 minutes of exposition whenever you happen to need it. You probably have to make a lot of decisions without being fully informed, which is how I think that person would face it in that world.
Yeah.
Which I think is a cool idea.
I agree. All right.
Do we have time for Chris really quick?
We are running out of time.
Go ahead, Chris.
I don't think we have enough time for me to go into the game that I think is great. So I think we can end it if we don't want to.
No, come on.
No, go ahead,
what is
go
it?
ahead.
Come on.
All right, the game that I think is the best game and possibly my favorite game of all time now is actually Undertale, which is a new game.
Wow, okay.
Very quickly, the music is top notch. It's the only game that I've actually bought the soundtrack for legitimately. The combat is really good, so it's actually engaging and a lot different from a lot of other RPGs. But the thing that really makes it great is the story, and it just really pulls you in by the fact that it's really lighthearted, easy to digest. I mean, it's really comical and really funny, but it's also incredibly self-aware.
Yeah.
And as you go through and start actually playing the game and realize that, like, things you do on your first playthrough will affect the game in multiple playthroughs, and how the choices you make even in the first game will affect the game's replay value in the later games, really, like, kind of sets a chord with you, and I can't really speak to how well it does it because it's actually really big spoilers. So, but I just love how incredibly meta it gets, and how, like, you really get, like, how, like, how do I say this? you get what you put into the game in terms of the narrative and how deep you want to go with it.
I want to change my answer to Undertale.
Well, because Undertale is a good example of a deconstructionist game, and actually a game that works on the expectations of the audience and defying those expectations.
Yes,
and I think that is always as a narrative function, I think is always very compelling. I think that's what has always compelled me and drawn me to Evangelion, because it's not a celebration of anime, it's a deconstruction of anime. And you find out like not only what the creators' opinions about all of these, tropes and the, moe personalities or whatever the hell you want, whatever box has been put around anime, that they have fun with that, and they both acknowledge it, embrace it, and then deconstruct it, I think is the best way to go about it. You can have hostile deconstructions of stuff, but that never goes well. The ones, the deconstructions of stuff that embrace what, what the format is, like Undertale did, and do it with such such grace, I think are great examples of what make games great.
I think Undertale was brilliant in that, I look at a movie like Deadpool, which breaks the fourth wall and takes an outsider's look at the superhero genre.
Yeah,
this is doing the same thing, but taking an extra step outside of that and looking at the broken fourth wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, Pops is Atari's Pong.
Pong was a good one.
Frogger.
Len, do you actually have a title that you would name?
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. No, fair point. Fair point.
The birth of true sandbox games.
Absolutely do not even need to explain that. All right. Unfortunately, guys, we have to.
You won't. Good thing too.
No, you don't. You don't need to explain it. It needs no explanation. Guys, we got to get out of here. That's been our time. Thank you so much for joining us here for Final Encounter Cast.
Saving that surprise for next episode then?
Yes, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to, because we are completely out of time. We ran the full time today.
See you in 2 weeks.
Guys, we're not going to be around for next week. We're going to be enjoying the companies of our mothers. Please go do the same thing and enjoy your weekend.
Since we're not going to be around next week, can I plug something really fast?
Absolutely.
Because in 2 weeks, this is actually something really cool. On May 14th, the European embassies in Washington, D.C. are going to be doing an open house where you get to go in each embassy and get a little taste of their culture. And the Embassy of Poland decided to do their focus on Polish video games. And guess what's the most popular Polish video game?
Is it The Witcher?
It is The Witcher, and I have been asked to officially cosplay for them. I get paid and everything to show up there and be an official part of their event.
Wow.
Pictures of me.
This makes you a professional cosplayer now.
I guess it kind of does.
That's legit, Nika. Congratulations, and hope you have...
I'm going to be cosplaying Triss, and there's also going to be a Geralt cosplayer. So if anyone lives around the DC and is interested in this cultural event, consider stopping by the Polish embassy and saying hi.
Is Triss the one that he has sex with on a unicorn?
No, that's Jennifer.
Oh. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to Final Encounter Cast. FinalEncounterCast.com is our site. Make sure you go check that out. We've got some exciting announcements coming up for Final Encounter Cast, including the addition of possibly getting on the airwaves of actual terrestrial radio. What?
Sell out!
I know. It's crazy. You guys are going to have to tune in next time for that in 2 weeks here on Final Encounter Cast. That's May 15th. Thank you to Chris, Callie, Nika, and Robbie. I'm Nate. Have a great evening. See you later. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Kooky Persona, Robbie Landis, Callie Page, and Nate Bender. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned in today's show, visit our live blog at finalencountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.